It's another lovely day as the sun began to rise over the peaceful village of Samoga. Golden rays filtered through the mist, illuminating the small rectangular huts made of mud and thatch that dotted the landscape. Farmers started their day, their laughter and chatter mingling with the gentle sounds of nature, as they prepared for another day of tending to their fields with millet, maize, and cassava fields. The air was filled with the rich scent of earth and the promise of a bountiful harvest, while cattle, sheep, and pigs grazed swiftly in the lush pastures, showcasing the village's harmonious connection to the land. In this village there was a young boy named Zachariah. Zachariah was a 12-year-old who lived with his family, including his aunt, stepfather, and grandmother. So one day when Zachariah was playing football with his friends, he heard one of his friends gossiping around saying that at midnight he could hear someone outside throwing stuff around and jumping chaotically on the roof. Another one of his friends interrupted saying, "That has to be Zachariah's grandmother because she's a very fearsome witch, and a few years ago when we lived at Liditima village, a very popular and powerful witch doctor was invited by the village chairman to annihilate witches because they brought fear and panic to people. It had become a big problem and people were no longer at peace because of them. Something needed to be done to handle the situation before it spiraled out of control. When the witch doctor arrived, he asked the villagers to point out anyone they suspected of being a witch. He reassured them, saying that if they were pointed out, they should not worry. If they were not witches, they had nothing to fear. However, for those who were actual witches, it would be unfortunately dire. One of Zachariah's grandmother's neighbor wasn't scared at all. She boldly called her out, saying she was a witch, so she was forced to step forward in front of everyone. As she stood there in a state of panic and shock, not knowing what to expect, she heard 3 other witches being pointed out and she knew who one of them was. After they were called out, the witch doctor handed them the cauldron mix. After taking a sip, they began spilling all their secrets about their witchcraft incidents, which was a huge embarrassment for her. Zachariah's friend concluded his narration, saying, "If she hasn't stopped her evil practices, it could be a serious issue for the people in this village." Zachariah heard what they said loud and clear. He was caught off guard and remained silent, unsure of what to say. Deep down, he felt quite shocked, though on the outside he acted as if it were nothing. A few minutes later, he quietly sneaked away and rushed home. Upon arriving, he found his grandmother sitting beneath an avocado tree. He approached her and greeted her, saying, "Good morning, Grandma." His grandmother looked at him questioningly and replied, "You already greeted me earlier." Zach then told her he had some news. She asked what kind of news. He shared everything he had heard from his friends, accusing her of being a witch and recounting all the witchcraft deeds attributed to her. Zach then asked, "Grandma, is it true? Are you a witch?" His grandmother gave him a cold, angry stare and the atmosphere grew tense and chaotic. With an angry grin, she said, "Hell yeah, I'm a witch," while looking at Zach with her cold eyes. She added, "Since you already know that I am a witch, I'm going to show you just how capable I am." Her cold gaze made Zach feel nauseated and a bit delusional. He started to feel like he was going a little crazy, so he rushed to one of the rooms in the house that used to belong to his father. He opened the drawers and found a variety of pills. He grabbed about 4 to 6 chloroquine pills along with 3 other light yellow pills and stuffed them into his mouth. Zach then stood there with a blank stare for about 3 to 4 minutes, lost in a state of panic and confusion. Suddenly, he felt someone tapping on his shoulder. It was his grandmother, who gave him a gentle rub on his shoulder. After that, Zach began to feel better and started returning to his normal self. He then stormed out quickly, heading to his aunt's place, which was about 6 to 7 minutes away on foot. Upon arrival, he found them setting the table for lunch, having prepared sweet potatoes and some other yummy dishes. His aunt was delighted to see him. She said, "Go quickly and wash your hands so you can come eat with us." However, as he went to wash his hands, he felt his stomach twisting with an intense pain from the pills he had swallowed back at his grandmother's house. Luckily, on that day, his aunt had prepared some milk to enjoy with the cooked potatoes. After she served him the meal, he started to eat and drink, and with each sip of milk, he began to feel better. His aunt and uncle had always been delighted whenever he visited them. They lived with a stepdaughter named Anita. Anita's mother had passed away when she was very young. She was my uncle's first wife. Anita and Zachariah never really got along. Whenever he visited, she would always be mean to him. One time, she even said to him that he just came to visit them so that he would finish all their food. It sounded quite selfish, but Zach had no idea why she felt that way. Fortunately, on this particular day, she had gone to visit one of her step-aunt's relatives, so he stuffed as much food as he could into his little belly. Unfortunately, despite drinking the milk and eating all that food, he started feeling extremely sleepy. He decided to sneak out without saying goodbye, as he didn't want his aunt or uncle to be suspicious of his situation and pressure him into revealing what had happened, which could lead to more family problems with his grandmother. After he left, he walked for about 6 to 8 minutes when then his body began to feel really weak. He could hardly walk, but he was close to a public road just a few meters away. So he decided to crawl until he could reach the road where he could ask passersby for help.